And I remember,
So sorry.
and no problem. And I remember when my dad and I used to pick up my brother from the fencing club. I was always sitting in a corner and watching my brother. And one of the good coaches there told my dad, bring Hamid to fencing. And then they decided, my parents decided to take me to fencing. Uh, and yeah, I started fencing when I was 9. And after, I remember after 2, 3 years, I went to my first international tournament. It was 1998. It was World Junior Olympic Games, and I was youngest fencer on that tournament. I remember the venue, the arena that we were competing. It was fourth floor, and the first floor that was I mean, tournament was happening, competition was happening, and I was the youngest one. I was really little, and I had to compete with fencers who were 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, and I was only 12 years old, and people uh, were running from the other side of the venue to watch my fencing because I was leader, and I was surprised at what is going on and why are they running and wanted to watch my fencing. And after that tournament, I asked my coaches that why do they want to watch my fencing, and the coaches they told me that because you were the youngest one and you really wanted to fight, you really wanted to win, and they wanted to see that how do you fence because I was young, right? I was little, and they put my picture into newspaper. Anyways, after that tournament, I decided to work harder uh, because I wanted to be I wanted to be a good fencer, and plus that was a rule in our house when I was a kid. If you wanna, my parents said that was a rule that they were saying that if you wanna continue fencing, you have to be a good student, and I had to study hard, and also to I wanted to practice because I loved fencing, and after 2 3 years, I uh, I became uh, Iranian cadet national team, and and I got I mean in my uh, fencing history, I got 12 Asian Championships medals and 4 World Cup medals. And after high school, I went to Ukraine. I studied in aerospace, and I wanted to represent for my country. I wanted to compete in awards, in Asian championships, and also I wanted to study because that was my dream uh, since I remember. I wanted to be a aerospace engineer. It was a little challenging to compete at high level. I never been. In junior and cadet, I always was top 16 fencer in the world. But in senior, I was good fencer. I was top 30, top 60 fencer in the world. But I never been top 4 in senior. Uh, and but I'm happy that I did both. Uh, I'm happy that I studied hard. I'm happy that I got my degree, and at the same time I competed for the national level for the national team. And anyways, I graduated in 2011, and I went back home from Ukraine, and for another year and a half I continued uh, competing and fencing. Uh, I stopped competing after Olympic Games 2012, around beginning of 2013, and I decided to find a job because I graduated as an aerospace engineer, and I decided to find a job, and it was hard for me to I mean it's always hard if you're a professional athlete. It's hard to have a job, full-time job, and be a professional athlete. Uh, because when you invite to the national camp, you have to practice early morning. I mean, you wake up early morning before breakfast. You wake up at 6. Uh, you work out and then you eat breakfast, and after breakfast you practice again. You come back, you eat, and then in the afternoon you practice again. Basically, you don't have time to have a full time job. And also after 2012, yeah, I mean before 2012, I was a little uh, upset uh, from. I mean, one thing happened in my fencing career. In my when I was fencing, I was disappointed of some people, and that's why I stopped competing. And it also it helped me to find a job, and I found a job uh, after I guess a couple months, and I was recruited as an aircraft engineer. And after a couple months, I was working hard, and I wanted to prove myself. And uh, that was two companies that they were working together. One was airline company, and the other one was design company that they were working together. And the design company, they felt that yeah, Hamid is working hard and he can be a good engineer, and they hired me as a design engineer. Basically, we redesigned part aircraft, and but while I was working as an engineer, I always felt that something is missing in my life because I stopped competing, and after a couple months, I got recruited. I got hired as an aircraft engineer, but something was missing in my life because, and that was I found out that was fencing, and I realized that I have been fencing and studying since I remembered, and those two was always they were bonded, they were together, and I enjoyed, and that was me, and those two built me actually. Whatever I am now, it's because of studying and fencing, and it made me Hamid. And anyways, I decided to go back to fencing, but not as a fencer. But I decided to go back to fencing as a coach, and I decided to share my experience to young fencers. And that was a couple fencers that they were in cadet national team, and I started to share my experience and work with them. But I realized that coaching is not easy; it's hard. And even though they knew how to fence, but that was hard for me to deliver my experience, my techniques, my tactics, my knowledge of fencing to young fencers. And I had that was challenging, and I had to talk to my brother, which he was a head coach of a national team, and I asked him for help, and he helped me. And then I realized that it's totally different. Teaching and competing is totally different because you wanna do the best for your students, for your fencers, and sometimes you don't know how to deliver your knowledge. It's gonna be a little miscommunication, miscommunicating between you and your friends, and they might not get your point sometimes, or and you learn how to find a way to teach them. Anyways, it helped me to a little to read more, to challenge myself, and And as I said, after 2012, I was upset, and I decided to come to the U.S. And that was my dream to come here. And I moved here in 2014, 2015, and I never thought that I could find uh, my first job, my first career would be uh, uh, fencing coaching. And I worked for uh, two clubs here, and actually that was a good experience. We trained good fencers. I could train good fencers, national level fencers, and some of them they go to World Cup tournaments, and some of them, I mean, they are here. They are Sophie, Kiki, Amy. They are one of the best fencers in their regions, and they are really good fencers. They go to the national tournament, and they are super nice, and they help me actually in many ways, and I'm happy uh, to work with them. And yeah, that was my and then I decided to open up my own fencing center, and I'm doing it with my old coach, and uh, that's my fencing uh, story. And right now, uh, I'm a design engineer. I work for a company that they make we design aircrafts part. And actually, I'm happy now because I have both. It's not only fencing, or it's not only uh, engineering. Uh, because even when I was leader, I never wanted to only be an athlete. I didn't want to do only fencing. I didn't want to be good at fencing, only at fencing, or the other way around. I didn't want to only study. I didn't want people know me that, oh, he's a good student, or he's a good fencer. I wanted to have both, but it was a little challenging. Um, Even when I was at college, I had to travel a lot. I had to represent my country for worlds, for Asian championships, for even for national leagues, and also I had to study in aerospace in different language. I studied in Russian. That was the other challenging for me, and but and sometimes I wanted to just give up, but I don't like that word. It's not a good word, honestly, and I'm happy that I didn't give up one of them. I continued to do both, and and yeah, that was my uh, uh, story. I guess I could introduce myself, and I know I'm not good at a speech, but anyways, yeah. If you have any question, I would be happy to answer that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm honestly, I think I can speak for all of us when I say we're also impressed with everything that you've
Thank you.
done. And I think that it's very inspiring. So everyone, if you guys have any questions, feel free to type it out in chat, or you can raise your hand with the little icon. I believe it's if you click on participants, there should be a button where you can raise your hand for a question. I guess I had a few questions that came over new when you were talking about, I guess, like your story. And so, like you were saying, it sounds like you worked really hard to do everything that you loved, no matter whether that was like fencing or coaching or engineering, and you didn't want to like give one of those up, which I think is really amazing. Did you, I guess, have any doubts throughout that process? And I guess, how did you overcome maybe some of these doubts about trying to pursue all of your different goals?
Mm. Uh, Actually, it is started from when I was little, and I remember because I loved fencing, and I just wanted to go to practice, right? And I had to deliver my homework to my mom before I go to practice, and it and then after that I learned to to do that. It became my routine that I have to uh, do my homework and then go to practice. But I got to the point that it was hard. Especially, I remember it happened when uh, I remember the first time that I wanted to give up fencing. It was eight junior and cadet Asian Championships 2001. In table of four, I was fencing. In semifinal, I was fencing with one fencer from South Korea, and I was winning 8-1. And and all of a sudden, everything changed, and I lost 15-13. And when I got home, I told my parents that I want to give up because referee called bad, and I don't want to do that. It's not fair. That was a bad call. I was winning 8-1, and then I lost 15-13. But anyways, and for 2 weeks I was just like, I want to give up. And my dad came to my room and he said, sure, if you want to give up, give up. But if you want to give up now, you will give up at every stage of your life that you hit something hard that you cannot find a solution. You want to give up right away. And I said, no, this is not me. I don't like to give up. I wanna find it. And I started to work harder. That was the first time that I wanted to give up, but I found out that no, this is not me. This is not a right solution. I don't want to give up. And back to your question, I mean, after that, when I got to college, it was hard because it was different language, different culture, different country. It was, and aerospace was, I mean, it is not hard, but it's a little, I mean, it's a little tough. I mean, uh, because I was doing fencing too. I remember, I mean, after school, I had to go to practice, come back, uh, make dinner, and then eat, study, sleep, wake up, and I had to do all those things by myself, and I didn't have time to hang out with my friends, watch TVs. I got to the point that I told myself that it is hard. I cannot do that. I cannot compete and at the same time study aerospace. And I wanted to give up fencing, uh, but that time my parents didn't tell me anything. They didn't push, and they told me that yeah, you can do that. But again, after a couple couple days after couple days, I told myself that I mean I reminded that story and said no, this is not me. I don't like giving up. I don't like that word, and I need to just sacrifice a little more. I need to wake up earlier, to study more, and if I had time to hang out with my friends over the weekend, I decided to cut it down a little more, and started to wake up earlier. Uh, just try to manage my time better. Uh, Study more. Not watching TV shows, and that was a time that was really challenging. And but I decided not to giving up and continue both and finish my my education, and I'm happy that I didn't give up.
Yeah, I think that's amazing, and I think um, there's always a point. I feel like for every athlete or really anyone, where you do have to kind of make those sacrifices, and it sounds like you made a lot to kind of get to your goals, which I think is really inspiring. Um, I guess again, feel free anyone to interrupt me with if you guys have a question of your own. I guess I was wondering, kind of through this time when you were really challenged and had to make a lot of those sacrifices and work really hard for your goals. I guess how important do you think it is to have a support group, whether that's like your friends or your family there and stuff like that? Because I know, you know, anyone when they're working hard wants to, focus on what they're doing, but I guess I feel like it's also important to kind of have that support group as well.
Uh, that's really that's a key, I guess, and uh, my family, they really supported. They supported me really uh, hard, and I again they helped me a lot by that support, and I as a kid, when something hard, when uh, something that you feel that is hard for you, something that say, oh, I cannot do that, I cannot study, I cannot, this is hard, I cannot fence, I cannot compete. You always need someone to to push you, to support you, not just telling you that you have to do that. No, it's not right. But it's really good that you have someone in your life that push you in a situation that you need to think. I when I was kid, I was stubborn, and I'm gonna back to that story that I said. My mom was telling me, no, you have to do that. You have to go back. You have to start fencing after 2001. After that that Asian championships that I told you, she always telling me that, no, you gotta do that. But my dad came to my room and he said, yeah, give up if you want to give up. And once he said that, I was like, this is not me. I don't want to give up. And he knew that if he says that word, it's gonna kind of put me in that situation that find myself better. And and as as I said, having support in your life, it's really important. And I had my family support me. And right now, even now, when I teach fencing, it is also challenging that I'm working in the daytime, and after that I go to fencing club and I teach fencing, and it is it is hard. It is because after all the stress from the work, you go to the fencing club, and you want to do your best. You want to teach fence. You want to deliver your knowledge to the fencers, and I have my wife's support, and she supports me, and she says always that yeah, you can do that. Plus, honestly, I'm really lucky to have good fencers. That they are not only good fencers, they really support me as well. They encourage me a lot, and as I said, three of them are here, and they are amazing. You cannot believe that uh, every time that I have private lessons with them, it's like I mean, they encourage me a lot, and it's a both way jobs. It's I teach them and they encourage me, and it's really good to have support in our life, and I'm lucky that I have good people around myself, and that's I guess that's a gift.
Yeah, I think that's really amazing. And I know from personal experience, Sophie, Emmy, and Kiki are all amazing people. So I definitely know where you're coming from on that end. And I agree. I think having a support group is so important. And it's really cool to see how that affected you as well. And I guess one of my last kind of questions. You just started kind of talking about coaching, which I guess I know you said that it was difficult and challenging to go from a player and then kind of transition to a coach. So I was wondering what you learned kind of in that transition from being more of a player to being primarily a coach.
That's a really good question, and thank you for that. Uh, when you uh, stop competing, you feel that you know everything because you were at high level, and you can just deliver it to the fencers, and it's easy for fencers to understand it. Once you start to tell them to do that, and you see that they are not uh, doing it, uh, you don't have that patience to wait to see progress, right? And you started to find the other way, and then you give up. You say, "Oh, what? I'm gonna change the drill. I want to change the tactic." Yeah, yeah. You don't get it, but I talked to my brother, and he said, "No, that's not gonna how it works, and you need to be a little more patient." And once I moved here, I had more fencers, and everyone has different personality, different characters. And I'm the kind of a person that I really like to find a solution instead of just give up and not working on it. And once I had again many fencers that I worked with them, I had difficulty. It was challenging for me, but I told myself that if I want to be proud of myself, that I have to find a way to make them understand, to listen, to follow my approach, to do the right thing, to do the right technique, tactics. And it helped me to think more. It helped me to find a better solution, find a better way to teach them. And at every single class that I have or I had in the past, when I was going home, I was always thinking that why I couldn't teach it. I was always trying to find a solution. And you, first of all, it's really good if you, as a coach, it's really important that you need to find the way to to deliver your experience, deliver your knowledge, right? In If I say that I only have one approach to teach fencers, I I mean, I shouldn't be proud of myself by saying that because this is wrong. Everyone has different personality, and I started to understand my fencers, understand what do they like, what do they want to be, and that helped me to find a better way to teach my techniques, my tactics to them. Sometimes I was successful, sometimes I wasn't, but I'm still working on it. I'm learning. Everyone uh, learned, and I'm trying to, and I'm working on it. And of course, I sometimes I made a mistake too. It's as I said, it's a both way job. So you cannot always just expect you teach fencers and fencers do that. No, that's my job as well to see the progress and seeing progress, monitoring the progress. It's the most important than winning. For me, winning is not just go to the tournament and win the bout or win the tournament. If you try to put your 100% at that tournament, even if you lose, then you did a great job. It's, I mean, I always tell my fencers that this is life and this is fencing, but that much is going to help you in life a lot. Doing not only fencing, doing uh, professional activities, professional sport, or I don't know, playing instrument. It's gonna help you a lot in your life. It makes you stronger. in your life. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think those are really great kind of lessons for everyone to learn. And yeah, I think that's awesome. Um, I guess Sophie, do you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question. I usually pester him with questions anyway, but yeah, I was wondering, like, how did you deal with stress? So I know that you were super busy all of the time, and between fencing and school and studying, I was just wondering how you dealt with the stress of all that and still like made sure that you had balance in your life, if that makes sense.
Uh, stress. You I mean, there's many reasons that you feel stress in your life in your let's say in your sport, like, or school. You stress out because you. I'm not saying it happens to you, but you might think that what people think about you, or you might think that if I don't pass, or if I don't get A, or if I don't win the tournament, or if I don't win, what's gonna happen? And that makes us to think about the negative result, and that's how you have stress. And but don't get me wrong, we are human. Stress is good. It makes you that it makes you. I mean, when you have a stress, it means that you care about your things, your studying, your tournament. But all you need to do just to deal with it, just handle it. Don't think about. I mean, as a I mean, let's say as a professional sportsman, I never thought about the result. I mean, yeah, it was a kind of tournaments that I always wanted to. I always thought about the result, and it got into me, and I was really stressed out. And I learned from it that this is not good. If you have a stress, it's not good. And I learned that, okay, I'm not gonna do that. I want to think about the moment. I don't care about the result. I Right now I'm focusing on the touch. I'm focusing on the touch. I just want to get a touch, win, and then next bout, and then yeah, result. If you for the beginning, if you start to think about the result, yeah, you get stressed out. For your exam, if you start to think about your test result before even you go to the I don't know, test room, you of course you will get uh, stressed out. All I'm saying is just think about the moment. Do not focus on the result, because the result will happen after your test, or after your tournament. And and I know you're doing great. Just think about the moment, and do not think about the result. That's only advice that I can say. Just live in the moment. Uh, do whatever you're doing. Do not think about the result, and that's it.
Yeah, that's super helpful. I know you've said that before, but I thought it would be good for you to share it with somebody other than me because, yeah, I usually ask you about this like every single tournament. So thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And something I always have to remind myself, trying to think of or like shifting your scope of and your mindset of how you look at stress. And I guess just kind of focusing on the process and like you were saying, not necessarily the result. I think that's so important for all athletes to work on, including myself. Emmy,
That's
you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. I guess it sort of goes along with an earlier question, but I was wondering, I know you said you felt like you wanted to give up at certain times, and do you have any advice for people who also might like feel like that sort of like, do you have any advice for how to get rid of those
mm,
negative thoughts and focus on like being able to do it?
mm. I can just I mean I can repeat that story in a. If you give up now, I learned from it. if you give up now, if you feel that something is hard and you cannot continue unless you have a really good reason for that. But otherwise, you will give up at any stage of your life. I mean, if I would give up 2001, that was my that was my first Asian Championships medal. I got third place. If I would give up on that moment, I wouldn't get another 11 Asian Championships medals plus World Cup medals. I would not to achieve that. If you give up at something, it tells you that you learn from it. You learn that, oh, okay, it worked. You think that if you give up and you're gonna release your stress or pressure, not a stress, pressure, and anytime that you hit something hard, you would say, oh, I want to give up because I gave up on that time and it felt good, and you would give up again, and because that on that moment I didn't give up. It helped me to to study by my own. My family wasn't around when I was studying. It was in the other different country, and it because I didn't give up. It kind of made me stronger when I got to the point that I had a little more difficulty, different language, different culture, different country, plus uh, uh, aerospace, plus competing at high level, and I could deal with it even though one or two times I wanted to give up. But again, on that level in college, I didn't give up, and it helped me to that. That experience helped me to move to United States, and I'm again. That's I can tell you that if you learn how to give up, it's gonna be easy for you every single time to give up. But if you learn not giving up, it's gonna be hard for you to give up in your life. Hopefully, I could answer your question, Amy.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I obviously don't want to quit fencing since I really
I
enjoy it.
know, I
It's
know,
also
I
hard
know.
not to, yeah, it's hard not to get discouraged sometimes. So that
Yeah,
really helps. Thank you.
yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I think it's really natural for all athletes, really anyone through any point of their life to get discouraged. So I know what you said has been really helpful to me. Just thinking about it as learning opportunities and learning to not give up rather than learning to give up. And I don't think I haven't really seen it that way before. So I think that that's really a really good mindset to go through, especially if you're just in practice or at a tournament or at a tryout or anything like that, depending on what your sport is. I think that's so important. So thank you for
Did
that.
Did you have that experience you wanted to give up?
Um, for me, it's interesting. So I play a few different sports, but right now, like my
Mm,
primary sport is rugby, and that's kind of what I want to pursue the most. And I've had moments where it's not necessarily that I feel like I want to give up, but I'm not sure if I
mm,
should play at like a higher caliber, if
mm,
that makes sense, or like play
mm,
to the highest level that I would like to.
mm,
Sometimes I get discouraged or I feel like I'm not as good as everyone else and I'm not sure if I could get there. So I love the sport, but sometimes I get kind of discouraged to go as far as I think I could. So I think recently, especially with COVID and sometimes not being able to play as much as I could,
mm,
um, personally, I've had to think about, I guess, what's worth it to me and what I want to fight
mm,
for. Um, and so far, I want to fight for as much as I can. So I'm trying to get into that mindset, like you were saying, about learning to not
mm,
give up rather than to learn to give up. Um,
mm.
so I guess that's kind of my experiences with that. Um,
Thank you for sharing it.
yeah, of course. Thank you for sharing everything, your whole
Mm.
story. Like I said, it's really both inspiring and also really motivational. Um, so I was wondering if anybody else has any more questions. Feel free to put them in chat or raise your hand. Or Hamid, if you have any last stories or anything that you would like to share with the group, we can kind of wait like a few seconds to kind of think of some ideas. But if not, I can also kind of close out the meeting as well because I know we're getting close to time. That's also not meant to pressure anyone to think of any last minute questions or anything like that. Because I know whenever I'm in meetings and someone asks for any last questions, I get so stressed out about thinking of any last questions.
I just wanted to add something. Sorry for interruption. Just love whatever you do, and if you love whatever you do, it becomes your passion, and follow your passion.
I love that. I think that's
Mm.
so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you, Hamid, for being here and, like I said, telling your story
Mm.
and answering all of our questions. I know it's been really, really helpful. Um, so, just a heads up for everyone for next weekend, we will be having another meeting next Sunday at 2 o'clock with actually my old basketball coach, Mr. Rosen. He will be talking about his story, his coaching abilities, and talking about the idea of mind over matter when you're playing any sport. So I highly suggest joining if you have the time next weekend. And yeah, I will make sure to post this on this recording on YouTube as soon as it downloads to my computer. And another big thank you to Hamid today for speaking to us and to Sophie for suggesting him and basically working all of this out. So thank you for that. And I will see you guys all later. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and sorry for my bad accent.
No, not at all. All right, I'll see you guys later.
Thank you.
Bye.